What to do? Bedtime crew. Hey man, listen today. One of my favorite mixed martial arts YouTubers, that is Bedtime MMA, and he has a fight coming up. That is actually Stephen Erceg, but they are literally both the same person. So I can say that Bedtime MMA has a match against Alejandro Pantoja in UFC 301. And I was thinking about whether I should make a video on this fight or not, because I do believe that it is somewhat of a, uh, like not a very good fight card. UFC 301, apart from return of Jose Aldo, who was actually retired 2 years ago. I don't know why too much hype for Jose Aldo's return. I think Jose Aldo is one of the like one of the greatest of all times. To be honest, he is. He has that crazy 10 years of unbeaten record in the UFC, which is actually very great thing in the hindsight. It's one of the greatest unbeaten era of UFC history, and I think he was great. But I don't know why this he was hyped too much. Like his return is hyped too much, and that's why I think UFC 301 is unpresentable in many sense. But I do want to talk about Steven Erceg, because he has one of those personalities, like one of the bots in the UFC. Bedtime MMA made a YouTube video about how some certain fighters in the UFC are just like robots, like bots in the UFC, and they are just like created in a lab, and they are like in the UFC and just doing. There was like Marcin Tabura in that list. Bo Nickel was in that list. I remember, because I used to. I still watch bedtime MMA all the time. I watch bedtime MMA all the time because I like his the way that he has fun all the time. But I do believe that bedtime MMA is funny, and he's one of the good mixed martial arts YouTubers. And he talks. He's an Aussie, and I have made decent fun of Aussies in my previous videos. But I would say that BettimeMMA is one of the coolest mixed martial arts YouTubers, so that's why I watch him. But I will say certain things about this fight, UFC 301. Let's now move on to prediction. That's what I meant to say when I say, this is what I was like. I'm not good in English. This is my third language, but I do want to talk in this language because most of the people who watch me, not YouTubers, most of the people who watch me are from those countries where English is the first language. So that's why I speak in English, and I'm more comfortable in English because I hear commentary in English, so that's why I'm more comfortable. Because this is some of people from here, they comment like, "Why do you say in English?" Because I like to talk to people who like martial arts. Mostly they are from like English speaking countries. That's why I use English. I don't like to use it because the problem is sometimes I make grammatical errors. Sometimes I talk random things that I don't want. That I don't mean to put in the video, but I do talk about like random stuff. But that's what I'm literally doing right now. But let's just move on to the video. So this fight, I think Alejandro Pantoja is not boring. People are giving him no credit for having those banger fights against Brandon Moreno, like where anybody could have got knocked out. I know it's flyweight, nobody can get knocked out, but I do believe that he's not that boring. People doesn't give him too much credit for his style, and I think the way that people are saying that Alejandro Pantoja is boring, it's not true. I think he's quite a he has very entertaining style. He's not very much, because he has that wrestling game where there's literally no threat of finish. He did finish Brandon Royal, but it's not like he has a he has a very active threat of finishing the fight. But I do believe that he's an entertaining person. He's an entertaining fighter, and people don't like him just because he doesn't speak good English. Or maybe I'm not saying Aussies don't like him just because he doesn't speak good English, but I will say that he is someone who is not very entertaining, but he's entertaining. Don't get me wrong, but I still believe that Steven Erceg is going to knock him out in the second round. This is my prediction. So already we can say congratulations to what to do bedtime crew. Hey man, listen today. Bedtime MMA becomes the first ever flyweight champion from Australia, or he becomes the third champion from Australia. So I think this is what I give. This is my prediction. I mean Steven Erceg is somewhat. I mean, I'm not going to talk about his looks because he looks somewhat of maybe missing 3 or 4 steps of evolution. That's all I'm going to say. I mean, I know it will be controversial because like you can't say stuff like this, but I mean, it looks like he did miss 3 4 steps of evolution. Here am I saying it again, and even though it's controversial, but it looks like that. But he is one heck of a he's one heck of a problem for someone like Alejandro Pantoja, who relies so much on his power, so relies so much on his like crazy going into the firefights, just like he tries to do too much. But I would say that I would say that Alejandro Pantoja is not someone who is knocking other people out with his crazy power, but Steven Erceg is that person. I'm not saying just because he knocked out Matt Schnell, that's why he has crazy power. Because Matt Schnell is like one of the glass chains in the UFC. As one of the glass chains in the UFC, bro is getting knocked out in the flyweight division. So I mean, people can doubt his glass chin, but I do believe that Steven Erceg has good dexterity in his punches. That's what I didn't mean to use this word, but it's like he has very good form when he throws punches, and he has very good way of maintaining distance. That's why I think he's going to knock out Alejandro Pantoja in the first or second, not first, the second or third round. This is my prediction. Maybe I can be wrong in this video, I mean just like never, because I've never predicted any fight strong. I mean, rarely. Rarely. I'm not Lucas Gleazy. I don't pick fights wrong most of the time. I was the original person who said that Kamaru Usman is going to get knocked out by Leon Edwards. I am the original person who predicted that Benoit Saint Denis was going to get knocked out against Dustin Poirier, despite many people were saying things on the contrary. So, I mean, if I say something, it means something, although I predicted some of the fights wrong recently. But what I've said in those fights were correct. Like Justin Gagey will hurt Max Holloway by leg kicks, and he did hurt Max Holloway. It's just like Max Holloway was a different version of himself, so that doesn't count. I think so. I hope so. Like you are basing something on the things that you have seen. I mean, what's like he just evolved. He just evolved in 3 or 4 days. What can you do about that? Like how can you predict it on that extent? I mean, I do like Max Holloway. I think he's way more technical than Gaethje, but he just evolved. I cannot predict those fights, like where the fighter is just evolving all of a sudden, like he just suddenly becomes a Homo sapiens 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 sapiens. What am I going to do about that? Like he's just evolving with time. I'm not going to how can I predict those fights correctly? So most of the times the point is because most of the time I talk about random stuff and I get lost what the original point is. I mean, it's like behaving like normal person, but just like I'm doing on the camera. So it's weird, but I will say that someone like Steven Erceg can knock out Alejandro Pantoja, and this is my prediction for the fight. That's what we do in this channel. We talk about martial arts, we talk about football, we talk about random things that I like. Sometimes I do talk about football. So I mean, martial artists are like, we are the tough guys. Something happened, like we like to we watch only martial arts, boxing. We don't watch football. Why are you making stuff about football? Because I like football. That's it. I like football, so I will talk about football. And please do subscribe. Don't unsubscribe to me because I talk about football. So if you like the content, please like, share, and subscribe. Sometimes I talk about random stuff. Thank you. Have a nice day.